Hi folks, this is Jack with Shar Music, and I have a very special treat today. I am speaking with Sabrina from the ATLYS Quartet about practicing. You know, practicing is one of the largest pain points with a lot of us musicians. You know, there are some days when you just can't bring yourself to do it. I know Sabrina loves to practice, and I wanted to pick her brain on just how does she keep herself practicing so consistently. I'm excited for y'all to see this, and without further ado, let's take a look. So, let's get started. I'm first really curious about how long have you played violin?
So I'm coming up on 24 years.
24 years playing violin.
25. Yes.
Wow, geez. How often do you practice during the day?
On an average day, ideally, I would like to do 4 hours. And I also believe, though, that depending on the circumstance, you shouldn't need more than that. If you're practicing well, you shouldn't need more than that unless you have an insane amount of music to learn and you only have a short time to learn it.
So 4 hours, about how much repertoire are you covering in 4 hours?
Good question. I like to spend at least an hour. This is talking about an ideal day.
Of course, this is all ideally, under ideal circumstances.
Yeah. I like to spend at least the first hour just warming up.
Sure.
And so I play, play open strings. I can do that for even like 45 minutes if the time permits.
Wow.
And just get really comfortable with my bow arm, really relaxed into the instrument. And I like to do that first because then everything that comes after that is just going to be so much more released and settled.
Sure, yeah.
And then, scale regimen, 3-octave scales, 4-octave scales, arpeggios. I also play some Shradiek warm-ups, just different finger patterns in first position, aiming for good intonation with the least amount of effort.
Yeah.
And so if I get that, I do that, but actually before I do the 3-octave and 4-octave scales.
Makes sense, yeah. So that's the first hour of your practice ritual is just open strings, doing scales and all that. So the next 3 hours. Say what?
That's the foundation for everything.
It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. The next 3 hours will be split among anything, whatever is priority that I need to work on.
Okay.
I perform with an orchestra. I'm in the Quad Cities Symphony here in the Quad Cities, Iowa, Illinois. And, we have performances that lots of repertoire, difficult music, and you just have to spend time going through it.
Sure.
It's a little bit different than preparing something that you'll be playing by yourself versus playing in a section, but that can take time to get through.
Sure.
And then anything that I'm working on with my quartet, and occasionally I have other sorts of performances, either solo recitals, concertos, or other chamber music things with people that are not in my quartet.
Sure. Well, that's awesome. So, grand total, about how much repertoire are you working on, currently?
Currently? Well, as I had mentioned before the interview started, we have this hour-long world premiere.
Yeah, you guys are premiering this hour-long piece during your upcoming tour, which is super exciting.
And so I remember hearing, when I was younger, a sort of this ratio of how much rehearsal or practice is needed based on how long the piece is.
Yeah.
And it's usually an hour of practice needed per minute that the piece is.
You know what? I think I've heard that same formula as well. So theoretically, that hour-long performance that you guys are going to do, you were
60 hours.
Ideally putting in 60 hours of practice with that thing.
Yeah, and I think we're going to just about get there. I mean, that will include rehearsal together.
Sure.
Which my quartet has not yet done any rehearsal together. So if we can get in, 20 hours of rehearsal, that means 40 hours had to have been done individually, give or take. And
sounds pretty reasonable.
Yeah. It's not like I sit here with a tally 1 hour, 1 minute, but it turns out that that's usually how it breaks down.
You don't have that wall in your house that's just little check marks as the days go by.
Maybe one day I'll make a wall.
Well, hey, as far as your practice ritual goes, I have a couple of questions as far as how do you overcome some of these challenges when it comes to practicing, and in particular, Boy, how do you drive yourself to practice when you just don't want
Yeah.
to?
It can be a struggle, really
It is.
can.
It's a huge struggle.
It
I mean,
is.
I know I'm not the only musician who struggles with it.
No, there is not a musician out there, and I'm probably on the spectrum. Like I lean towards like loving practicing more
Sure.
than other people.
Yeah.
But the reason I love it is because I know how much it works. I know that I'm better after I did it,
It gives you
and I
confidence.
like,
It's like working out.
yeah, and I like being a better violinist. I prefer to be a better violinist than one who just didn't feel like practicing.
Makes just
Even though I don't love, like, I don't always love every second of it, but
yeah.
I do think that it is like, I guess like a physical workout,
Yeah.
that the more you do it, the more, uh, the easier it is. And so in other words, the consistency is what makes it more,
More enjoyable.
I was thinking of another word, just like palatable, you know?
Sure.
What
The consistency of it makes it normal. It normalizes the routine of it.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
even with my warm up of like playing open strings and scales, if I've done that every day for 2 weeks, then I feel really great pretty quickly. Like
Yeah.
it can actually consolidate how much of it I feel like I need to do
And that makes a lot
to
of sense.
feel,
If you're doing that stuff every day, your warm up
yeah,
is going to take a little bit less
a
time.
little bit less. And so then,
Nice.
and anytime a circumstance comes up, like for example, being on tour where I don't have the luxury of like, my own space always, or,
Yeah.
and I have to, my practicing routine has to change. Then it's like coming back to the opening warm up is like, okay, like let's get
Boy,
into this
we got to do
again.
this again. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but similarly, if you have that consistency, just everything you play, you just feel so much more in control. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's just like a mental sort of psychological way to get yourself into it. But the other way is just by kind of prioritizing it in your schedule, like do it first,
Okay.
practice first. Like if
Interesting. I like that strategy.
for kids who are in school, you can't practice before school unless you are really devoted. Some people do that. Some
Get
people
up
wake up
nice
crazy
and
early.
early.
Yeah, and practice before they go to school. But so if you're in school, like grade school, then you when you get home, you should practice just right away, just first thing. Get out the instrument, do it, then you're done, and you can enjoy the rest of your evening, and it
I
doesn't
like
have to
it.
just be looming over you.
Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Well, another struggle with practicing that I hear a lot of is folks that are they're really anxious to know that other people can hear them practice. They're anxious to know that, hey, mom's in the other room and she can hear every mistake that I make. I've been playing this one passage for an hour and I'm driving
Yeah.
them nuts. Stuff like that.
Well,
What are your
my
thoughts?
guess is that maybe this student isn't practicing slow enough, because if you are practicing very slowly and like just super clear-headed, you're probably not going to make as many mistakes. And so that actually is a really great point I wanted to bring up, is
Yeah,
that a lot of practicing happens without making sound. It happens in your head, and you come to a passage that is a problem. And so one strategy is just to go at it and just kind of fight and
if
wrestle
you
with
play
it.
the notes hard enough, like eventually you get
Yeah.
it right, right?
No, unfortunately, it usually doesn't work like that. And so becoming a more experienced practicer really actually involves less noise making and more thinking. And
That's
then
that's such an interesting
yeah,
observation.
so once you have a very clear intention with whatever this problem passage is, then you start back at it. And I recommend just going as slow as you need to get it right. That's all it takes. Once you've made that connection in your head of the getting it right, even if it's terribly slow, like then the connection is made. And the process of bringing it back up to tempo, it takes eons less time than it does to just kind of fight with it and play it.
To play all of the notes as hard as you can.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well,
So
that's excellent. I really like that advice. You know, like it's not so much making the noise. It's a lot of it's in your head.
it
That's
so much is.
I like that. I like that. And as far as like time management goes, do you have like a planner that you put in? You know, every day this block is always practice, or do you kind of practice when you can?
For me, generally my schedule does stay pretty consistent, ideally.
Ideally,
Yeah.
of course.
And so, I mean, I do reserve the first part of my day for practicing.
Okay, so that's the first thing you do in the morning is you get up and you play.
Yeah, after I have breakfast first, and then I get my violin out. I know that my warm-up's going to be a very like relaxed, almost meditation. So that's like not scary. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm just going to take it out. I'm going to play my open strings. Not like I'm going to take it out and practice the hardest part in this concerto.
Here comes Paganini at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I'm just going to do my easy warm-up and then start to feel nice and like, you know, ready to go. And then I tackle what I need to do. And I also should mention that you got to keep your goals well, first of all, you got to have goals. You got to have a goal, but it has to be a small step goal. You have to. You shouldn't be taking your instrument out without that. And so,
are you talking like a daily goal, or are you talking like a weekly or monthly or yearly?
It builds up. I'm talking daily.
Okay.
I'm talking daily. Like, and it's an example is like, okay, these 4 measures in the piece I'm learning are always troublesome for me. So I am just going to look at those 4 measures. I'm just going to try to figure them out today. And I'm going to try to play through the 4 measures slowly until I feel comfortable with them.
Excellent.
And that could take an hour. It could take 10 minutes.
Could take longer.
Yeah,
certainly.
It could take longer. Or you could finish you could kind of reach your limit that day and still not have reached that goal. But then maybe the goal was too big. So maybe you need to make a smaller goal. And so, yeah.
2 measures the next day instead.
Exactly. And so, I mean, most of us practicing, if we're, I don't know, probably have a lesson every week or so.
Mm-hmm.
And the teacher has assigned you a certain section to prepare. So you know what you're working with. And if you don't take lessons, hopefully you have some kind of thing you're working towards. And so, you know, whatever it is, you can section it down into very, very bite-sized manageable chunks.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
And you can just plan out your week kind of.
Yeah.
Between lessons.
Do you have, as far as the number of goals per day, do you have like, you know, 1 goal per piece per day, or do you have like one main goal that you try to accomplish during practice today?
Well, because I'm a more experienced practicer and I know how well this system works, I can probably have maybe 4 to 5 goals. That's why I practice 4 to 5 hours. Sure. You know, if I only knew I had 1 hour to practice that day, I would not in my head give myself 5 goals, because then I would finish the practice session and feel awful.
Right.
That
like
I didn't
get much done. Sure.
Yeah. But it's just that my expectations weren't lined up with a reality. And I think it's very personalized and individual for everybody, like what they feel like they can accomplish in a certain amount of time. And you just have to get to know yourself. And, it's also just like having too many goals can make you feel frantic and flustered.
Yeah, you're stretching yourself too thin.
Yeah. And so just keep it super manageable, like incredibly manageable. Maybe even err on the side of fewer goals. And then if you finish them, then okay, let's add another one today if I still feel like it. And then you end up feeling actually really accomplished.
Yeah, of course, because not only did you get this done, but hey, you even
and then you want to practice the next day, because it's like, okay, look at how much I got done, and now I'm like ready for my lesson, or I'm ready for this performance or rehearsal.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. You know, whenabouts did it kind of click with you with practicing, or have you always really enjoyed it?
No, this is an excellent question, because No, I didn't always enjoy it. I probably didn't start practicing seriously until after I was already accepted to conservatory. I mean,
Okay.
I was not practicing well. I don't know what the heck I was doing in high school. I really can't remember. I would just sort of play through the piece, probably not even slowly, and I would say, "All right, I practiced today." And I mean, it's
Boom,
better.
done.
It is better than nothing. The other thing I would do is that actually my twin sister plays cello. She's in ATLYS, our quartet, and
Oh, that's so awesome. I didn't realize that.
yeah, and so the two of us would often play together at home. We
Cool.
would just like play through like the orchestra music from our youth orchestra, or just kind of
Something
mess
that I've
around with each
always,
other.
oops, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, go ahead.
Something that I've always thought was super helpful was playing with other people.
Oh yeah,
And really that even motivated me more to practice than any of the solo rep that I was
100%.
supposed to learn.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And yes, Genevieve and I were playing in string quartets together since we were about 11. And so, that I would practice that and I would like feel really excited because it was other people were depending on me to have my
Yeah.
part ready. And so, way more than my concertos, that didn't click for a long time. So yeah, I mean, I probably didn't ever practice more than 2 hours a day until I got to college,
hmm
conservatory. And even the 2 hours I was doing at home back then were very much wasted, I'd say.
And
Um,
I know that feeling. Like a lot of me through college was yeah, sitting down going, okay, what do I got to play today? That's good enough. Let's go. Yep. Not gonna lie.
yeah.
Do
Um,
you have any other advice for folks that are trying to find that motivation to practice?
well, I've probably already said it in maybe other words, but just knowing that the hardest part is taking the instrument out of your case, opening the case. Once your violin is up on your shoulder or whatever instrument you play, you're going to do something. You're going to do something. It's like it's the taking the instrument out of the case that can be the hardest part. So remind yourself of that. And as I said, give yourself a very attainable goal.
I like it. Yeah.
And I don't think you can go wrong.
I mean,
So,
it sounds like a lot of simple steps. Get your instrument out of the case, put it up to your chin, and you're gonna make some
yeah.
noise because it's right there.
And you're going to say, "Oh, I didn't like how that sounded. Okay, let me try it this way." And that's already practicing.
Boom, done.
Yeah, you're practicing. Congratulations. So, I mean, I guess the other thing I'd like to say is that practicing music, like repertoire, or actually anything, technique too, is the process of making it feel innate and natural. Like if I always want to start my note with a smooth, really silky sound, I'm going to do it as many times as it takes for it to just feel like that's the only way I know how to do it. And it just becomes automatic. So practicing is like making anything automatic. And so in terms of repertoire, it's like if you have this phrase of music that you want to shape a certain way, you're going to play it again and again in that certain way until it's just the almost automatic way. There's still spontaneity in
Sure,
everything,
sure.
but at least there's this kind of groundwork of like this is how it goes, and to the point where it's just the habit and you're
Yeah,
not actively thinking about
it's that muscle
that
memory that just
muscle memory.
yeah, it lays that foundation where once you have it in your muscles, then you can start getting really expressive with it. Then you can start getting like really musical with
Oh
what you're
yeah,
playing.
yeah. Then that's like where the fun starts or
Yeah,
whatever. I mean, I think it's all fun, but
absolutely.
it yeah. So it's just like kind of getting that into your head that like, okay, I need to like this note's always out of tune, so it must be like the habit is to play it out of tune right now. So we have to like change the habit and do it enough times so that there's now a new habit of playing it in tune. Then you don't even have to think about it because it's just the way you play it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like it. I really like
Okay.
that. Practice is the method to with which you make things innate.
Innate,
I
yeah.
like it.
It's just like, and then you don't have to. Then you got your performance, and it's like, oh, this is just how I play it.
Yeah.
Like I'm just doing. I could be sleeping, and this is just how I play it.
I don't think you
A little
should be
bit.
asleep there up on
Maybe
stage,
not.
but you know,
I
hey,
might take
that's
that back. Okay.
well, hey, I think we're just about out of time. I'm so sorry this was such a quick little interview.
No
Thank you so
worries.
much for taking the time. And I think that's all the questions that I had.
Great.
Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. I mean, I myself learned quite a bit. I'm excited to be putting a lot of Sabrina's advice into my own practice regimen, and I hope you all found something helpful out of her advice as well. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you here next time on The Workshop.